Change is one of the most intimidating words in our lives. When we think about change, it often feels like standing at the bottom of a towering mountain, unsure of how we'll ever reach the top. But let me tell you a secret: you don't climb a mountain in one leap. You conquer it one small, steady step at a time. The power of progress lies in those small, consistent actions we take every day. Maybe it's choosing a healthier meal, setting aside 10 minutes to read, or simply waking up 5 minutes earlier than yesterday. These steps might seem insignificant in the moment, but they are the seeds of transformation. Here's the beauty of starting small: it takes away the fear. When a task feels too big, our natural reaction is to freeze. But when you shrink that task into manageable pieces, suddenly it becomes doable. That's how you overcome the fear of starting, by taking the first small step, no matter how small it seems. Now think about this. Every small effort compounds over time. It's like adding drops of water to a jar. At first it might look empty, but keep at it, and one day that jar will overflow. That's the power of persistence. Your small steps today can lead to unimaginable success tomorrow. But here's something even more important: you must embrace the journey. Don't rush the process or compare your progress to someone else's. Celebrate those little victories, because they're proof that you're moving forward. Every great achievement in history started with one small step. The key to big changes isn't magic, it's consistency, patience, and faith in the process. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So take that step today. Small, consistent actions hold immense power to create lasting change and propel us toward our goals. It's easy to overlook the importance of these incremental steps, especially when our ambitions are big and our dreams feel distant. However, the reality is that success is not built overnight, nor is it achieved through grand gestures alone. It is the accumulation of small, consistent actions over time that paves the way for meaningful and sustainable progress. Consider this: every habit, every skill, and every achievement begins with a single action repeated consistently. A runner doesn't start by conquering a marathon. They start with one step, followed by another and another. Over time, these steps become strides, and those strides transform into miles. This same principle applies to every aspect of our lives, from improving relationships to building careers, from nurturing health to expanding knowledge. Consistency is the cornerstone of transformation because it creates momentum. Imagine pushing a heavy wheel. At first, it requires great effort to get it moving, but once it starts rolling, each subsequent push becomes easier and the wheel gains speed. Small actions work in the same way. The initial effort may feel challenging and progress may seem slow, but as you continue to act consistently, you build momentum. That momentum then carries you forward, making it easier to sustain and even accelerate your progress. The beauty of small, consistent actions lies in their accessibility. Too often we are paralyzed by the enormity of our goals. We tell ourselves, "I don't have the time," or "I'm not ready," but taking a small step is something we can all do, no matter our circumstances. If your goal is to improve your health, start with drinking 1 extra glass of water a day. If you want to deepen your knowledge, commit to reading just 1 page of a book daily. These tiny, manageable actions eliminate excuses and help us break free from the inertia of inaction. There's also a psychological advantage to starting small. When we complete a small action, we feel a sense of accomplishment, no matter how minor it may seem. That feeling creates a positive feedback loop. Each success, no matter how small, reinforces our belief in our ability to continue. Over time, this builds confidence and self-efficacy, encouraging us to aim higher and achieve more. Another powerful aspect of small, consistent actions is their ability to create habits. When we repeat an action regularly, it becomes part of our routine, requiring less conscious effort. Habits are the foundation of our daily lives, and by intentionally cultivating positive habits, we can align our actions with our goals almost effortlessly. For example, setting aside 10 minutes each morning for mindfulness or planning your day can significantly enhance productivity and mental clarity. It's important to recognize that consistency does not mean perfection. There will be days when you falter, when life gets in the way, or when progress feels slow. But what matters most is getting back on track and continuing to take those small steps. The power of consistency lies not in never making mistakes, but in refusing to give up. Over time, the results of small, consistent actions compound, creating exponential growth. This concept, often referred to as the compound effect, illustrates how incremental improvements lead to significant outcomes. Imagine saving just $1 a day. At first, the savings may seem negligible, but over a year, those dollars add up to $365. Over a decade, it becomes $3,650, not counting interest. The same principle applies to personal growth. Each small improvement builds upon the last, leading to transformations that are far greater than the sum of their parts. Ultimately, small, consistent actions are about building a solid foundation. Grand achievements and big changes are exciting, but they cannot stand without a strong base. That base is created through the daily, intentional choices we make. It's about showing up for yourself day after day, even when progress feels slow or invisible. Remember, the power of consistency is not in the magnitude of each action, but in the unwavering commitment to keep going. Small steps taken consistently have the power to lead to extraordinary changes. Every step you take brings you closer to your goals, and every moment of persistence builds a life you can be proud of. Keep going, your future self will thank you. Starting something new can often feel overwhelming. The fear of failure, the uncertainty of the path ahead, and the sheer size of the goal can paralyze even the most determined individuals. This is why small steps are so powerful. They break down that fear and make starting not only possible but approachable. When we focus on beginning with something small, we remove the pressure of having to achieve everything all at once, which helps us take that critical first step toward change. The fear of starting is something everyone encounters. It's human nature to hesitate when facing something unknown or challenging. We might worry about not being good enough, making mistakes, or being judged by others. This fear can create a mental block, convincing us that it's better to delay action or worse, to avoid starting altogether. However, starting small is a way to sidestep that fear. A small action feels manageable, even comfortable. It doesn't carry the weight of immediate success or failure, and that makes it easier to take that initial leap. Imagine someone who dreams of writing a book. The thought of completing hundreds of pages can feel overwhelming. And the fear of whether the book will be any good might stop them from even picking up a pen. But what if they started by writing just one sentence a day? Suddenly, the task is no longer intimidating. One sentence isn't much, but it's a start. And that small step can grow into a paragraph, a chapter, and eventually an entire book. This approach also helps us combat the common excuse of waiting for the right time. How often do we tell ourselves that we'll start when we feel ready, when circumstances improve, or when we have more time? The truth is, there's rarely a perfect moment to start something new. Life will always be busy, and waiting for ideal conditions often leads to endless procrastination. By starting small, you eliminate the need for perfection. You can begin wherever you are, with whatever you have, and let the process unfold naturally. Another benefit of starting small is that it allows you to build confidence gradually. When you take a small step and succeed, it reinforces your belief in your ability to keep going. Each small victory acts as a building block, creating a foundation of self-assurance. This growing confidence can help diminish the fear of failure because you've already proven to yourself that you're capable of making progress. Additionally, small steps help you test the waters without committing to something overwhelming. They give you the opportunity to learn and adapt as you go. For example, if you want to start exercising but are unsure about committing to a full workout regimen, you might begin by taking a short walk each day. As you gain comfort and confidence, you can gradually increase your effort, exploring different types of exercise to find what works best for you. Starting small provides the freedom to experiment without the fear of biting off more than you can chew. It's also worth noting that small steps have a way of shifting your mindset. When you consistently take small actions, you begin to see yourself as someone who is capable of change and growth. This identity shift is crucial because how you see yourself directly influences your behavior. If you view yourself as someone who takes action, even in small ways, you're more likely to continue making progress. Overcoming the fear of starting doesn't mean eliminating fear altogether. It means acknowledging it and choosing to act anyway. Fear will always be present when you're stepping into the unknown, but small steps provide a way to move forward despite that fear. They help you prove to yourself, one action at a time, that the fear doesn't have to control you. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. Starting small is not about achieving instant results, it's about getting started and building momentum. Every small action you take is a step closer to your goal, and each step makes the next one a little easier. Before you know it, those small steps will have carried you farther than you ever imagined. So, if you find yourself hesitating or feeling stuck, remember this: you don't have to conquer the mountain today. You just have to take the first step. It might feel small, but it's significant because it marks the beginning of your journey. Starting small is how you overcome fear, build confidence, and ultimately achieve big things. The compound effect of small efforts is one of the most powerful and transformative principles of personal growth and success. It is the idea that consistent incremental progress over time leads to exponential results. Although each individual action may seem insignificant on its own, the cumulative impact of those actions becomes undeniable. This principle shows us that success is rarely about making massive leaps. Instead, it's about making small, steady steps in the right direction and allowing those steps to build upon each other. Think of it like planting seeds. When you plant a single seed in the ground, nothing dramatic happens right away. You water it, nurture it, and give it sunlight, yet for days, even weeks, it might seem like there's no progress. But beneath the surface, changes are happening. Roots are spreading, the seed is absorbing nutrients, and eventually a sprout breaks through the soil. Over time, with continued care, that tiny sprout can grow into a strong tree. The same process applies to your efforts. Every small action you take is like watering the seed, even if the results aren't immediately visible. This compounding principle is evident in many aspects of life. Consider the example of saving money. Setting aside just a small amount each day might not feel impactful in the moment. A few dollars here and there may seem trivial, but over time, those small contributions add up. Add the power of interest, and suddenly what started as small savings turns into a substantial sum. The same principle applies to skills, habits, and relationships. The little things we do every day, practicing for 10 minutes, writing one paragraph, or spending quality time with loved ones, create ripples that grow into waves. The compound effect thrives on consistency. The more consistent you are with your small efforts, the greater the results you'll achieve over time. However, it's important to recognize that this process requires patience and trust. In the early stages, it can feel like your efforts are going unnoticed, or that the progress is too slow to matter. But just like the seed growing underground, the impact of your consistent actions is building beneath the surface, even if you can't see it yet. Staying committed, even when progress feels invisible, is what allows the compound effect to work its magic. One of the most fascinating aspects of this principle is how it can work for or against you. Positive habits like exercising regularly or reading each day compound into growth and success. But the same is true for negative habits. Skipping one workout or indulging in unhealthy food might not seem like a big deal in the moment, but over time, these small negative choices compound into setbacks. This is why it's so important to be mindful of the small actions you take every day. Each one is contributing to a larger picture, whether you realize it or not. The compound effect also emphasizes the importance of perseverance. There may be times when you feel tempted to give up because the results aren't immediate or dramatic. But remember, the real power lies in sticking with it. The small, consistent actions you take today may not yield visible results for weeks, months, or even years, but they are laying the foundation for long-term success. It's about trusting the process and believing in the accumulation of your efforts. This principle doesn't just apply to personal goals, it can also transform relationships. Imagine making a small, thoughtful gesture each day for someone you care about, a kind word, a moment of undivided attention, or a simple note of appreciation. Individually, these actions might seem minor, but over time they strengthen bonds and create deeper connections. The same applies to professional relationships, where consistent effort and reliability can build trust and credibility. The beauty of the compound effect is that it gives everyone the ability to achieve significant results, regardless of their starting point. You don't need extraordinary talent, resources, or circumstances. All you need is the willingness to take small, intentional steps consistently. Over time, these efforts compound, creating results that far exceed what you might have thought possible. Ultimately, the compound effect teaches us that progress is not always about dramatic breakthroughs. It's about the quiet, steady accumulation of small victories. Each small step matters because it contributes to a larger whole. So keep going, even when it feels like your efforts are too small to make a difference. Trust in the process, stay consistent, and watch as those small steps lead to big, life-changing results. Momentum is a powerful force that can transform small actions into significant progress. When you take the first small step toward a goal, you create an energy that builds upon itself, making each subsequent step easier and more natural. This phenomenon, often referred to as the snowball effect, starts with a tiny push, a single action that gains traction over time and grows in power as it moves forward. Momentum is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be, and it begins with the simple act of taking consistent, deliberate action. Think about pushing a boulder uphill. At first, it takes tremendous effort to get it moving. You may feel like you're exerting a lot of energy without much visible progress. But as the boulder starts to roll, something magical happens. It becomes easier to push. The momentum you've created reduces the effort required, and eventually, if you keep going, the boulder crests the hill and begins to roll on its own. This analogy perfectly illustrates the power of momentum in our lives. The hardest part is getting started, but once you're in motion, the process becomes more manageable and even self-sustaining. Momentum is fueled by consistency. Small, repeated actions create a rhythm that builds confidence and reinforces your commitment to your goal. When you take a single step and follow it with another, you develop a pattern of progress that propels you forward. This is why it's crucial to focus on taking action regularly, no matter how small the steps may seem. Even on days when motivation feels low, maintaining momentum through tiny actions keeps the process alive and prevents stagnation. One of the key benefits of momentum is that it shifts your mindset. When you're in motion, you feel productive and capable. Each small accomplishment reinforces the belief that you're moving in the right direction. This positive reinforcement creates a feedback loop that makes you more likely to continue taking action. In contrast, inaction breeds doubt and discouragement. When you're stuck, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the size of the task ahead. Momentum breaks that cycle by reminding you that progress is possible, even if it's just one step at a time. Momentum also helps you overcome obstacles. Challenges are inevitable on any journey, but when you have momentum on your side, they feel less daunting. The energy you've built up through consistent action gives you the strength and resilience to navigate setbacks and keep moving forward. It's like riding a bike uphill. If you're already in motion, it's easier to maintain your balance and keep pedaling. But if you stop, starting again can feel like an uphill battle. Momentum keeps you going even when the path gets tough. Another remarkable aspect of momentum is its ability to inspire creativity and problem solving. When you're actively engaged in the process of working toward a goal, your mind becomes more attuned to opportunities and solutions. You start to see possibilities that might have been invisible when you were standing still. This is because action generates clarity. The more you do, the more you learn. and the more equipped you become to handle challenges and adapt to new circumstances. Momentum doesn't just apply to large, long-term goals, it's equally powerful for everyday tasks and habits. For instance, if you're trying to declutter your home, starting with one small area, like a single drawer, can create a sense of accomplishment that motivates you to tackle the next space. Before you know it, the momentum you've built carries you through the entire project. Similarly, if you're working on improving your health, starting with something as simple as drinking more water each day or taking a short walk can set the stage for bigger changes. The beauty of momentum is that it creates a sense of inevitability. Once you've taken the first step and continued to build on it, reaching your goal feels less like a distant dream and more like an eventual reality. Each action you take strengthens your belief in your ability to succeed, making it harder to stop and easier to keep going. Ultimately, momentum is the silent force behind every great achievement. It's what turns small beginnings into big results, one step at a time. The secret is to start, even if the step feels small or insignificant. Every action, no matter how tiny, contributes to the forward motion that will eventually carry you to your destination. Trust in the process, keep moving, and let the momentum you create propel you toward the life you envision.